Hi, and you're now with the Forerunner Chronicles. All right, everybody, if you haven't heard it already, I don't see how you couldn't have. But as of this month, May of 2011, Osama bin Laden has officially been declared to be dead. According to reports from the United States of America's government, U.S. military acquired Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, killed him, and then dumped his body in the bottom of the ocean, where he is now swimming with the fish. Now, if I don't seem too impressed or too enthusiastic about this information, it's because I'm not. I want another opinion. And to get my second opinion, I thought to go to a very unlikely source, another dead person. Now, don't get me wrong. Forerunner's not practicing spiritualism here. I'm talking about the former prime minister of guess where? That's right, Pakistan. Her name, Benazir Bhutto. Benazir Bhutto filmed the following interview that I'm going to show you in the year 2007 on the Al Jazeera news program Frost Over the World. She makes some very interesting statements. Statements that might be the reason behind why she was assassinated 1 month after the interview that I'm about to show you. Pay close attention, because you're going to be shocked. Take a look.
But first of all, Pakistan and Benazir Bhutto. When the former Prime Minister arrived back in the country 2 weeks ago, after 8 years in exile, the homecoming parade in Karachi was quite literally blown apart by an assassination attempt. A suicide bombing exploded a bomb meters from Ms. Bhutto's open-top bus and killed more than 130 people. Benazir Bhutto joins us now. Benazir, hello and welcome.
Thank you, David.
Tell me, has that terrible assassination attempt affected your decision to carry on with this battle?
No, it's that horrific incident in which 158 innocent young men, a woman, a baby lost their lives has just made me more determined to continue. I do believe Pakistan is under increasing threat of an extremist takeover, and to save the country, I believe we must restore democracy, get the people's faith in the country, moving the country forward. So I'm determined to go ahead with the mission to save Pakistan with democracy.
And in terms of these three people that you mentioned, were they members of or associated with the government?
Yes, well, one of them is a very key figure in security. He's a former military officer. He is someone that has had dealings with Jaish-e-Mohammed, one of the banned groups, with Maulana Azhar, who was in an Indian jail for decapitating 3 British tourists and 3 American tourists. And he also had dealings with Omar Sheikh, the man who murdered Osama bin Laden. Now I know the man who murdered Osama bin Laden, the man who murdered Osama bin Laden, the man who murdered Osama bin Laden.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. According to the words of Benazir Bhutto, a lady that dedicated her life to fighting terrorist factions such as the one that was headed out by Osama bin Laden has been dead at least since the year 2007. But if that's true, what in the world is going on right now? Was Osama bin Laden resurrected from the grave and then killed again by the U.S. military? And of course, they had to kill him again for good measure. Or is somebody not telling the truth? And if somebody isn't telling the truth, who's responsible for the lie? Is it Benazir Bhutto or is it Obama? One thing I know for certain is this, Mr. President, since releasing your long-form birth certificate and this declaration of the death of America's most wanted, Osama bin Laden, under your presidency, your approval ratings within the United States of America, they haven't looked better than since Yes We Can, whatever in the world that meant. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible tells us in the book of Psalms, chapter 118, starting at verse 8, it is better to trust in the Lord than to put your confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put your confidence in princes. Why? The Bible tells us why in the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 9, which tells us, the heart of man is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? No man can tell to what depths a man will go, or to what trickery a man will resort to, so that he can obtain power or wealth or the approval of other men. Man will kill, man will rob, man will steal, man will lie, so that he can be approved of by other men. But one thing we can know for a certainty is this: God does not have to kill a man that is already dead so that he can be approved of by humanity, because God is approved of all by himself because he is the creator. God is approved of all by himself because he's the one that placed breath in your lungs this morning. God is approved of all by himself because he is the one that loved us so much that he gave his own son as a sacrifice for the sins of the entire world, so that we might be cleansed of our unrighteousness, and so that we can receive the power of his divine spirit, so that we can live lives victorious over our sinful ways, our lying, our stealing, our adultery, our fornication. All of these things he has given us power through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ to overcome, so that we might receive life eternal in his eternal kingdom. God is approved of all by himself because he is God and there is none other besides him. He is the only God. The Bible tells us in the book of Psalms chapter 146 and verse 3, put not thy trust in princes, neither in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His breath goeth forth, he returneth to his earth, and in that very day his thoughts perish. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're alive, you are subject to death. And the Bible tells us that every man, when he dies, his breath leaves his lungs and returns to the God that gave it to us. Our bodies go into the grave and decompose back into dirt, into earth. And our thoughts perish. There's no more thinking, no more love, no hatred, no envy. We are just there, awaiting the first or the second resurrection. The first resurrection for those that lived in obedience to Christ, and the second resurrection for those that lived in rebellion and sin. And the choice is yours to choose which one of those resurrections you will be in. This is the thing that we need to be worrying about right now. Not about the pictures of a dead man, a fictitious dead man, possibly, we don't know. The Bible tells us in the book of Ephesians 6 and verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. The war, the greatest war going on, it's not in the Middle East, it's in your home, and it's for your soul and for the souls of your family members. How are you faring in this warfare? Are you gaining the victory in Christ, or are you losing the battle, which will bring eternal destruction to you? Woe is the man that doesn't accept the gift of Christ. Woe is the man that is so wrapped up in the things of this world that he cannot see that God is extending his hand trying to save him. And if you don't believe, it doesn't change the truth of the matter. For the Bible tells us in Romans 3, starting at verse 3, for what if some do not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. Yea, let God be true and every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and that thou mightest overcome when thou art judged. God will always be judged true. I pray that none of you will be judged a liar because you refuse to accept the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Can you imagine the terrorist actions that are getting ready to transpire within the borders of the United States of America as a result of this declaration of the killing of Osama bin Laden. Rogue terrorists going out, blowing up buildings, blowing up anything in vengeance for Osama bin Laden. Will you be a casualty of the next terrorist action? And if you're not, don't you realize that the next terrorist act is going to bring a transformation to the government of the United States of America, which is going to usher in a time of trouble such as never has been seen before? Are you preparing for the events that are right before us? Ladies and gentlemen, focus your mind. Jesus is coming. Are you ready to meet your God? This is the Forerunner. And as always, whether you like it or not, the truth is the truth.